morning and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Child. Good morning, everyone from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, and the entire world. And we're going to be having a great time this morning. Without wasting much time, we're going to have um, a brief introduction, and especially for those who are joining us, if this is your first time, do let us know. Um, we're excited to have you online this morning. Thank you for joining. And on the Good Morning Education Show, we have conversations that help us to talk about things that bother us within the sector, beyond the sector of education. So we are here, and we're going to have a very quick one today. And from time to time, we have our analysts join us. From time to time. Um, to talk about issues that bother around the world of education. They share their exposure, their expertise, their knowledge about the subject matter, and just gives us opportunity to deal with the subject. And so we learn together. And we always ask for you, our audience, to contribute as well in the conversation of the day so that we can also equally have a robust conversation. Please, if it's your first time, um, do not hesitate to let us know. Feel free to talk to us, connect with us, to share with us, as we deal with the conversation of the day. And we're going to be having a great time. That's all I can tell you for now. Um, on the Good Morning Education Show, we are always live from Mondays to Sundays. Mondays to Fridays, you can catch us from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And on Saturday, it's actually 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. West African time. And of course, on Sundays, we also try to be present for you to make your week start, to get your week started on the right note. So we also have the Good Morning Education Show. But this time around on Sundays, it's at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. West African time. And it's going to be a great one, actually. Um, so we're going to have, let me just get started with some of the headlines on the Good Morning Education Show. One of the headlines, an interesting one, is from WAEC and West African Examination Council has said that there were 460 visually impaired candidates who wrote the WASE exam, and it's been an interesting one for that. I think that's a very good a good a good point to show the level of inclusiveness of the body, And let me use the opportunity to welcome KK. Good morning, KK. Welcome to
Good
the Good Morning
morning,
Education
man.
Show.
Thanks,
Hope
Sheraton.
hope my voice is not too deep this morning.
No, I think it's
It's
pretty
normal.
normal. Yeah,
I don't know why I'm feeling that my voice seems to be on the baritone level today.
really.
Uh, all right. So, what do you think about the WAEC report? 460 visually impaired candidates wrote 2021 WASE.
WASC exam. I mean, when I looked at it, I was happy. I guess what caught my attention was insists. I'm like, okay, why are we insisting? Is there some form of, are there some people who are saying that they didn't write it or it's not true? But if they did, then I think this is amazing because it means that inclusivity that we're talking about, the underserved demographics in the population that we're talking about, are finally getting the recognition that they need, are finally getting into that space where we can tap that potential that exists in that space. So I love it. I think it was great. It will be good to know how they made this happen. I think that's important to know so that it can be replicated maybe in some other exams that the country that is countrywide, maybe even regional wide, but I do think it's an amazing feat to have accomplished.
Yeah, and why I get more excited is the fact that for them to have been able to write the exam, it's not just the WAEC body, but we need to think about the educators that also facilitated their preparedness and readiness. I've seen the process of how they make braille books in brailles, textbooks in braille, and it's not, thank God for screen readers and all those things. So, but it's a tough one indeed. Really a tough one. Yeah. So, Dr. Daring, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Very well,
And good
thank
morning
you.
to our listeners in Africa.
Yes. So, still on the exam matter. I'm sure KK will get excited about this next one. It says 21 inmates to write 2021 NECO in Oyo Custodial Center.
Yeah, that's very good, to be honest. Yes, I am excited about that one. So that's great because it means that they're not the forgotten, because sometimes that happens, right? They're not the forgotten. Some of these crimes may not, it's not something that maybe even should keep them incarcerated for such a long time, but then they're there. So for them to be able to have this, and so it means that when they do come out, they have a future that they can look forward to. That for me is like amazing, amazing. So yeah,
Yeah.
thumbs up for that one. I like it.
Daring, do you want to say anything on that?
Well, I think she has said it like it's just, of course, it's they are not forgotten. So that's just going to be my comment on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the spirit of exams, in the spirit of performance, we have another headline that's speaking about the NSC Award Scholarship to UTME engineering candidates. This is coming, also on that hill. Jerry, do you want to share? It's a scholarship season, and I know you're a scholarship person, grants and all those things.
Well, it's well, I don't know, NSC. The problem I always have with, will I say, how do I explain a local grant is always I don't know about this one, but I just don't trust the processes in which they select people for local grants and scholarships. And I'm not just saying this because I've seen people who had I have not had a bad experience with that, but I've one like different people, my clients that have come to me to get grant, as in learn how to do this thing. That has been their experience, as in where they like, and it's not just one, it's not two, whether in the business grants or in the academic, the TED funds and co. It's always been use your leg, your long leg, and you pay someone and put your name on the list. So that's if it's about getting the grant or merit, that's a fantastic idea, right? But if it is one of those things again that you must know someone there, then at the end of the day, it means it's not going to benefit those who is supposed to benefit. I would expect, as in the kind of grant or scholarship I would typically operate, or the domain will be things that have that are merit based and are ethical, not to get 100 followers. And things that when it comes to things like that, or things that I cannot trust the integrity of the process, I always have reservations. That's just um, my this thing. So I don't want it to be that they've already selected those who are even going to get it, and they now put, like, let me say 3 people to dilute it, so I don't call the process a fraud. So I just hope it's not one of those things. Yeah.
So you use the word dilute. Oh my goodness. So it feels like it's Ribena or something. Um, I don't know. Well, we hope that there is a lot of um, transparency, and they need to reduce any form of bias. There's a next headline that is interesting. It says 12,586 teachers take qualifying exams nationwide. KK, I know this is something you
Yes,
want
I
to.
mean that is interesting. Um, so in my head, what are is the qualifying exam the TRCN exam? Well, to be honest, right? Standardization is not a bad thing. It's just how do we use standardization? What's the purpose for it? And then the measurement metrics that we have or techniques that we're using, are they in this century? Are we actually looking at what teachers should know when we are creating some of these qualifying exams? What are the stakeholders that were involved in these exams? For example, you can't tell me a teacher is qualified. For you, are they qualified? For me? So I believe it's a good thing, for us to even say, oh, you know what, let's bring some level of standardization and say, oh, what are the level of, so that's data that we are collecting. What are the level of teachers that we currently have in the education sector, in the public space, in the private space, and what are the needs gaps? So we need to be able to do a needs gap analysis and say, based on this, which is why this qualifying exam needs to be something that actually speaks directly to the needs of the sector. If it doesn't speak directly to the needs of the sector, then what we have, like Fee was saying, is just something that is sorry, not Fee. Dr. Motala was saying, just something that is diluted, and it doesn't do anybody any good when it doesn't meet the need. It's just a checkbox that somebody has ticked. And really, what's the purpose for that? We need to move out of checking boxes to being actually functional in the things that we do. We can't be wasting time when there's so much more that needs to be done. But if it's fit for purpose, and we actually did have stakeholder engagement in creating this, it's a good thing. So that teachers understand that you just can't wake up and walk into the sector, right? There needs to be some level of sanity within the education space. So I'm all for it, and I think it's great. But beyond the exams, we can't just have a summative assessment with no follow-on. So what are we doing with those that didn't qualify? For them to even take the exam, it means that they're interested in the sector. So if they didn't qualify, what are we doing? Those that qualified, how do they qualify? What needs do they still have, right? So beyond just these qualifiers, what else? What next? For me is what I would look at. But generally speaking, it's a good thing that we're bringing some sanity into the sector. So yeah, back to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much. Demi, I don't know if you want to contribute to that as well.
No, I like her submission is great. I think that would just suffice.
Oh, Derry, I'm so sorry. I called you a Motala. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then we have NUC approves postgraduate, additional undergraduate programs, at SSUTH. So we're seeing NUC having more approvals,
Yeah.
Another headline says Lagos Sube partners Women Affairs Ministry to tackle out of school children. The out of school children menace. Any thoughts on that,
they cannot spell menace? I just wonder, is that they cannot spell menace? Sorry.
That's true. That's right.
So anyway, I think it's great. But you know what?
Maybe the algorithm is not feminist because it's now manis. We are sorry.
Let's have a monocle, Let me get serious now. I'm sorry I did that. So yeah, I think it's good that, but again, people just like to put. I didn't read this story, so I don't know. Maybe there's a lot more insight, but I do hope that it's not just another propaganda. People like propaganda. First of all, do they even have data on the number of out of school children? Do they know where the out of school children are? Which ones are where do they exist really? What are their parents doing? So, but it's a good thing. I mean, when I look at this, I love it because as long as we can get children in schools, that's important. But again, it would be great to know what framework that SUBEB or the Women Affairs are looking to employ in doing this, because sometimes out of school children are not out of school because they can't be in school, that they can't reach the schools, right? And we have just a number of public schools in certain locations across Lagos State, across the 6 education districts. And sometimes where the public school is too far away from, where the students are. So they cannot be in school. And that's a problem that's an accessibility problem, right? So that's something that we need to look at, right? So do we need to build more schools? What sort of models will work for these people? I was in a conversation on Clubhouse recently, and somebody was saying that a lot of times people say when children are working, it's child abuse. That sometimes it's not child abuse. That's the model of the society that they come from, right? So in that society, the model is that children work at a certain age to contribute to the family. That does not necessarily mean that the children are being abused. That's just the model, the community module, right? So we need to, again, when we think about looking at out of school children, when we think about doing anything in communities regarding education, we must say to ourselves, what does this community need? We shouldn't be bringing and be so quick to just bring something that might be working in another community and copy and paste it onto another one, assuming that it's going to take off. Sometimes it doesn't work that way because we haven't actually looked at what this community needs that we're trying to solve their problem in quote. It really might not be a problem. It might just be that we need to look a little deeper, help them reorganize, help them get to where they need to be. And that in itself becomes a solution that we never thought about. And it might be as more painless than trying to co-join things that just don't work. But it is a great initiative. I just hope that it is something that a lot of thought has been put into it. So, but good initiative. And again, sorry, when you say this, right, I start to think about the school community. So is it SUBEB? And SUBEB is great. SUBEB is it's an umbrella body, right? But then we need to look at the HTs. We need to look at each of the school managers, each of the schools, and what is the capacity of the schools that they're thinking of moving the children. I mean, just for me, there's just so many questions regarding the framework of this. But if it's something that they want to do, you know what? I said go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I think we just need to get into the conversation of the day, I'm sure that it's something I am even interested to also listen to perspectives on. Finding a new you. The year is fast coming to an end. In fact, this is the last week of November, and a lot of people are getting set, and the conversations in the air, now, everybody's been goal setting, everybody's trying to finish strong, start strong, and all those things. But the truth of the matter is, inside somewhere, there is that urge and need to handle the thought about finding a new you. What does it even mean to find oneself? How can one find him or herself? And then how can you ensure what you found is new? So, discovery, are you discovering what was old, what has been there? Are you discovering what you need to get into, or you're on the path of, on a journey of redefining yourself? So let's start with that. That's the conversation of the day. And I know that Dr. Derry too is quite positioned to also take us. But let me start with KK. What does it mean to say there is a new you? What do you take finding a new you as?
So the journey of self-discovery is a very interesting journey, right? A very interesting journey. Because I hold a bottle of Coke and looking into the bottle from the cup, I cannot see the bottom of the bottle, right? Because it's opaque, it's not transparent. Doesn't mean the bottle doesn't exist. The more I drink of the Coke, then when I get to the very bottom, then I would see that bottle, the bottom of the bottom of the bottle of Coke exists. Same thing with a cereal jar. The more cereal I take out of the jar, the more of the jar that I can see, right? And that's that when people say they're finding a new you, it's interesting because there is no new you, right? There is just you. And there's self-discovery, discovering the many facets of yourself that you didn't know exist. And a lot of times you need to go on a journey of self-discovery, and that's just what it is, really. And say to yourself, who am I? Why am I here in this world? What is my higher purpose? What are those things that I really want to do, but I am unable to do? Why am I unable to do these things, right? Who are the people that I'm connecting with that are making me feel that I'm less of who I am? And sometimes just asking yourself those sort of questions moves you into a space of discovery, helps you understand the fact that there's so much more within me that is domiciled within me that I have not allowed to come out. And what happens is when those things begin to come out, people say, you've changed. You haven't changed. You've just grown into the shoes that you were always meant to fill. So I don't believe that there's a new anything. Sorry, I muted my mic in error. I'm sorry. I was saying that I don't believe that there's a new anything. I just believe that there's so much more on the inside of us that we just don't know exists. And the more of that cereal jar we dig into, the more we see of the cereal jar, and the more we realize that, there's more, there's more, there's more. But it comes from a place of confidence, comes from a place of bravery, because you need to be very brave, right? To actually do the things that you know you should be doing, because the world wants you to conform into a bottle, right? But because we are so fluid by nature, we get poured into another bottle and we take that form. We get poured into another bottle yet again and we take that form. So we keep taking the forms of the bottles and the situations that we are. And that's okay in itself, right? But we need to understand that, who am I? Even as I am taking this form, what of me am I living? Am I depositing in these bottles, in these situations where I exist? And that's something that is extremely important. So once again, I truly don't believe that there's a new anything. I just believe that the facets of ourselves that we never realized were there because we had never been given opportunity to get into them, and we didn't have the courage, to step into that space where we can truly become who we are. And I would end this section of my sharing my thoughts with this. Somebody recently contacted me to do some work for them, and I shocked myself. That's the truth. I shocked myself when they started to speak, right? And they said, KK, share your thoughts. And I started to share my thoughts, and they couldn't believe it. I took it to a totally new dimension. Like I said, I shocked myself, right? And I left that meeting wondering, how did I think about those things? Why didn't I record it so I can listen again and say it again another day? And that's it. The minute you understand that you owe nobody anything but the best of yourself, and that's because you owe yourself the best of yourself, that's the liberation that you need to say, you know what, I don't owe you the best of you, I owe you the best of me. And in every single situation that I put myself in, I will bring out the best of me, and the best of me is where I am on my cereal jar. More deeper levels of me I will see the deeper I get into that cereal jar. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts concerning this. Back to you, Mr. Roti.
Thank you, KK. You successfully inspired what we should have for breakfast today, the cereal jar. Unfortunately, I'm on the verge of starting a training. So there's no cereal for me. Okay, let's go to dairy. Now, finding a new dairy, KK has opened our eyes to see that really sometimes it's not that there's a real thing called new. It's just that sometimes we are yet to explore what exists already in us. I'd like you to take that further, dairy. Finding a new you. That's the topic of the day. How do we get to that journey of becoming more?
Interesting topic. And why I say that is, like, on Sunday, we brought a coach to the Mentor Youth Group. The coach that spoke after you is she spoke on personality discovery. And after that particular session, I know, like, I lost count of the emails, the comments that was coming from people of all ages. Like, they are in the university, they've left university, they are working, they've been working for 10 years, people of all ages who are saying, wow, like, you just helped me find me. Just in, like, let me say a 2 hours session. And I told them, I said, this is not just you. Many adults have lived for so many years, living someone else's life. And I always say, like, no matter how you run on a race that is not your destination, no matter how fast you run, you will still not arrive at the destination because it's not yours. So I always recommend this. If someone asks me what is the first step to finding a new you, I would say there is a science, and some people have done the work. Go to 16 personality tests. Go and take a personality test. When you do that, it gives you like a 4-letter word. There's a comparison. The webinar at the weekend, I can't go into the details, right? But for people that may want to understand how this works, just go to 16 personality, as in type it on Google, take a personality test. You'll be shocked at how through that thing represents you. Even if you may know you do these things, what that test helps you do is to come into the awareness of those things. And one of the things I typically advocate for, in fact, both that I founded iTrain Africa based on, is awareness. Like we have that awareness blueprint programs in community. I always say the moment you are not self-aware, you could actually even be doing things and be getting results, but you don't understand how it fits into the bigger picture. So you will keep, even when you get something, there would not be inner satisfaction. You would just keep running in circles. But the moment you are self-aware, you are that person that would do something that the world would define small, but you would celebrate it, you would jump. Why? Because you are aware of what you need to achieve on that journey, and the world's definition of success or whatever would not matter to you because you are aware of where you want to get to on that journey. And for every step you take towards it, you are a step closer. So that is where I always say you should start from. If you are totally confused, you listen to many people say, oh, find who are you, this or that one, and you still don't have the steps, go and take a personality test. When you do that, the results you get, if you need the person I brought, the resource person I brought, Shikemi Tayo, you can find her on LinkedIn, that's her name, Shikemi Tayo. She has a free 32-minute online course that explains all these things about personality further. Find her, Shikemi Tayo, you will find her on LinkedIn. Go and listen to that 32 minutes. You would I can almost guarantee you will find a direction on what to do next in finding that you. Now, the knowledge, after you now come to the realization, that is where the second stage of the work begins. You need to now say, this is the result. For instance, maybe the E in my result is extroverted. People will look at you and be like, you talk too much in the morning. You did, but actually, when I do it, even if you say it to me, I don't consider it an insult. Why? Because I'm self-aware of the E in my personality. It means that I draw my energy from people. So when I start to talk in the morning, for me, it is the way for me to kickstart my day because I draw my energy from the environment. Now, when you find that kind of thing, and you understand yourself that deeply, everything you do will be towards achieving a purpose. And that is how you can, a life of purpose is a life of, there's no new you off, obviously, Kiki has said it, but is a life that you are able to attach some form of meaning to, and you are able to run your race in your own lane, and you are not feeling like prey. That is the only you that should exist, where you are running your race and you are heading for a destination you understand, because you are self-aware of every single thing you do in terms of how you do it and where you are taking it towards. That's my submission.
Thank you so much, and that's a great submission. And I like the way you've been able to, show people the fact that, and it also takes away the pressure, because finding a new you, a lot of people tend to look for likeness, almost like thinking that it means that I want to be like KK. No, I think it's a bit more individualistic and also exploratory in nature. And I'd like to ask Olusola Olumide, what do you think, still on the topic, what do you think stands as a stumbling block to most people from finding that new you, so to speak? Olusola, please.
Thank you. Good morning. And since I joined, I think I've been excited for some reasons. I think I count myself privileged and happy to be among this tribe. That's one. Number two, I'm happy for my mentees, for my Train Africa, because practically I'm getting feedbacks already. I told them, see, let's come on Good Morning Education show, and from Sierra Leone to Liberia to Sudan to Ethiopia to South Africa, I can see them coming around. And I guess the topic we are dealing with this week is it's a sort of $1 million topics, and it's been great. So thank you, Rotimi, once again for bringing up these things. Now, talking about stumbling blocks, number one is internal stumbling block. The number two is external stumbling block. If you look at the word, who are you? The word who starts with W, the word R starts with A, the word you starts with Y. That gives us the way. If you have not defined who are you, you won't get the way in life. You're talking about self-awareness, and that is why internally, inability to discover where or who we are, what we are meant to do. If you don't discover what, then it will be difficult to define how, where, when. So it has to start with what. When you are able to define what, then how we come in. The concept of when we come in, then where. You can see they are linked together. So internally, inability to define. I remember presenting a paper somewhere, and in the course of preparation of that paper, it dawned on me that, if you cannot define the problem, you become part of the problem. If you are able to define the problem, then you become the panacea to the problem. So we must, as an individual, we must discover. Self-discovery is very, very key. In fact, it may take long time, but once you are able to discover, it will be a leap. You will be moving in leaps and bounds. It will be as if you are just liberated, as if the chains on your feet are being removed. Then you are able to soar and move. External problem, that becomes a little bit cumbersome, because some are not within your control. And I'm talking to educators now. I'm talking to parents now. I'm talking to our well-wishers. I have a slogan: the sympathizer should not cry more than the bereaved. It's good you mean well. There is what we call deputy parenting syndrome. I couldn't become a doctor, my son must be a doctor. I had wanted to be a lawyer, my son must be You've seen somebody says he's a doctor, so somebody among his children must toe that line. And I want parents, if you don't want to raise miserable achievers, you are better allow your children, help them discover who they are. Don't see them from the driver's seat. That's why somebody can be a lawyer and he will go and give that, after coming back from law school, pack the BL and the law school LB and go and give his daddy and mommy and need and say, thank you, this is the certificate for you. Can you allow me be my fashion designer? Those parents may die of shock, but they are reaping what they sowed. I attended to a boy who wanted to set the house on fire. They brought him not for therapy, they brought him actually for prayers. But when I sat him down, I discovered that the boy didn't need deliverance. It is his parents who needed deliverance. He says, it's because I studied, my father forced it on me. Now there is a family business, they are now telling me to follow. I said, I'm not interested in the family business. That led, the boy had bottled in a lot. It was just a little misunderstanding that triggered what has been bottled for years. In fact, he shattered the edge roofing into pieces, then went to buy petrol to set the house on fire before he was arrested. He was telling me, my father arrested me, I had to be begging him. If you don't want to raise miserable achievers, parents, please, that you are a doctor does not mean your child must be a doctor. Let the child live his life. After living your life, don't live the life of your children. teachers also. This also calls for the need for robust and operational counseling unit in our secondary school. I have two elder siblings. One was sent to science class, the other was sent to art class. The one that was sent to science class ended up reading social study in their institution. The one that was sent to art class is a graduate of mathematics as I speak with you. It's not just go to science class, go to art class, go to commercial class. Is anybody profiling are they profiling the children? Do we realize their weakness or their strength? There's a whole lot of things to do. And I think for educators who are out there, school owners who are listening to me, especially if you are dealing with the junior secondary and senior secondary, you have a lot in your hand to do. If you are not going to make these children to be miserable, we've got to help them discover who they are. We give them all the support we need to need. And I think fulfillment does not necessarily mean you are rich. Until we're able to dissociate that somebody is rich does not mean that person is fulfilled in life. And that somebody is not rich, it doesn't mean that person is not fulfilled. We tie everything to money. And at the end of the day, the money is there, but the person finds out something is missing from the inner recesses of my heart. Can somebody help me find what is lost? So, internally, discover yourself. Externally, you've got to deal with external battles who are pressurizing you. They could be parents, they could be well-wishers, they could be your teachers, they could be your neighbors. And problem of comparison. All this, we end up thwarting our journey in life. And self-discovery is like our GPS, the geographical positioning system. If you don't want to be lost on the IC, on the ocean of life, you need to have the GPS, which is self-discovery. Until you do that, you'll be roaming round and round and round on the sea of life. Time wasted, energy wasted, resources wasted, if your life not wasted in the process. Please stop and discover who you are. Whatever is battling you within and without, seek counsel. Get clarity. It is not too late. If you have gone on the wrong direction, like Darren said, you won't get to the destination you desire. Turning back, time might have been wasted, but it's better to turn back than continue on the wrong journey. Don't forget that your emotion does not necessarily mean you have direction in life. Thank you very much.
Well, there's nothing to say. I think at this point in time, you've set my phone on fire. My phone is so hot right now. I feel like dropping it.
Don't drop it.
So much to soak in, and I believe that it's not just the volume of words, it's the value and the virtue in those words. And thank you for that. And I'd like KK to just give us let's just end on that note. KK, give us your parting shot, and then I'll come back to Damien as well. Summarizing, finding a new you.
I mean, to be honest, Dr. Olushola killed it. Just talking about the fact that because you're moving doesn't necessarily mean that you're going anywhere, and that's it, right? We must know what it is that we're doing. We need to understand who we are. A lot of us live conditioned lives. You cannot live a life that is conditioned by other people. So you need to really ask yourself, who am I and why am I doing these things, right? So ask yourself those questions. And one thing that I do, and again, Dr. Olushola captured that, if money was not involved, what would you be doing, right? Because money usually messes things up. So if money was not involved, would you be doing something else? If nobody else's decisions were in this life that you are living, what would you be doing? And let's look at that. And those of us who have the mantle of the responsibility of actually working with children, with building nation, we need to understand that we cannot project who we are onto the students. They're different. And we need to understand, believe, and just leave it at that. They are different. And we need to be able to profile every single one of the students, getting them to a place where they need to be. But if you are out there listening to this and you've been conditioned, you don't need a new you. You need to discover who you truly are. And then you need to accept where you currently are, even as you make a plan to move from where you are to where you want to be. And look around you, right? There are all sorts of coaches, there are resources. There's so many ways that you can help yourself to move to that space where you want to exist, and actually live a full and fulfilling life. Yeah, that's it from me this morning. Back to you, Mr. Rotimi.
Thank you. Daring, quickly, your parting shots.
Okay, here are my parting shots. In a world where everybody is moving at the same time, you may be overwhelmed, even if you are practically not moving, because everybody is on motion and you can see movements all around you. However, you should realize that you need to stop, like practically stop at some point to reflect. And when you do reflect, it is in this reflection, as in whatever it is that gets you to that point where you can have some form of stagnancy or some form of inner peace. Whatever it is, if it is yoga, exercise, anything, change of environment, go to a serene environment, switch off your phone, delete apps on your, whatever it is that gets you to that stagnancy or that moment of you being able to like calibrate, get to that point. This is a good time to, I always say, not because it's the end of the year, anytime you get to the self-realization or self-awareness that you are not understanding who you are or where you are going. And please, I always say, like, it, because you know who you are at some point does not mean you know who you are now. I take my time to do this over and over again after some time has passed, because life is in seasons. If who you are in last season is not who you are now, please do this thing again. Recalibrate. Do the, if you must do another personality test, do it. Ask yourself, who am I today? When you define who you are today, please get a paper, get a life journal, write it somewhere. When you write it, keep it inside, and it helps you to stay focused when you start that journey. Do not just go around moving. Stop and ask, who am I today? Does who am I today align with the purpose I intend to achieve in life? And that is the way that you can start living a fulfilling life on the whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We just need to end at this point in time, and I really want to appreciate Olushola Olumide. I'd like to appreciate KK. I'd like to appreciate Daring for coming to make this a worthwhile. You know, I'm sure those who listen to this after will find so much value. And on that note, we would like to end with our normal play of line at the count of 2. 1, 2, go.
It's always a great morning
Morning
on the
And
Good
good
Morning
morning
Education Show. Bye.